Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Niecy Denise, better known as Carolyn or Baby Girl Slaughter, back to do a short reading. I am actually at luncheon, just getting ready to pop me open a bottle of water, and I thought I'd sit down real quick. All right, so we finished this book up, Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids, right? We finished this one up. Amazing. Shout out to Guy Anderson. I can't say enough good things about him. Yesterday over on YouTube, I uploaded a video, a pre-recorded video that I did over chapter 1, Rise of the Clones. Guy Anderson's second installment of this. He's got a third one coming out, and he's also doing a documentary too as well with the iconic team, David Icke and his sons. But this one is Rise of the Clones, the Cabbage Patch Babies. We read over part 1 or chapter 1. I read the introduction in chapter 1 over on YouTube. Like I said, I did a pre-recorded video, The Origins of Human Cloning. That was chapter 1. So we're going to get into chapter 2 after Tartaria. All right. So let's just read. Just listen to me read. All right. There will be a great number of people reading this book that won't have heard of the Tartaria before. Yet to me and many others that live down the rabbit hole, it will always be the greatest empire that ever existed. So before I explain what happened to its people, I will give a brief history of this civilization. Now, I've read parts of this, Stuart Swerdlow's channeled message, right? It's called The True World of Human History's Humanity Saga. True World History Humanity Saga, all right? And I did a couple of videos back where I talked about how the Lyrians and the Atlanteans came here to this planet where the reptilians were also here. So there was a great battle or great war. And it was a great war prior to that, right? With the reptilian species taking over all of these planets in a certain area or vicinity, right? So, and when I say planets, I'm talking about cellular membranes beyond the ice walls. If you follow me and you have listened to me read over No Scaphandrum's material, Claudio Nacelli's material, then you know that there are other civilizations and other worlds beyond the ice walls, right? And I've showed you maps. So, there's been multiple civilizations, okay? So you got to remember that Noah's flood is not the only flood that ever existed here in this location, okay? There's been up to 6 or 7, okay? So it says, the Tartarian Empire's history has been covered up, so much so that even the name was changed to Mongolian in a bid to hide it in even further. There are a number of reasons for this, which include the way in which they lived and the technological advancements that they achieved. They lived in a very different way to how we do now, one of balance with the earth and with huge emphasis on the well-being of its citizens. The empire spanned across Asia, Russia, and Eastern Europe, and it expanded over here as well. It was planetary, okay? So in his vernacular, in his book, he's saying it was in certain locations. I'm telling you it was worldwide, okay? And that's from my own personal research. All right, so then he says it was Asia, Russia, and Eastern Europe with its ethos and architectural style traveling across the world. Today, we can see these buildings everywhere, yet refer to them as Greco-Roman, despite many being in countries that would not have had any contact with the Greeks or the Romans, nor had access to their buildings and the blueprints. From the late 1700s, these buildings were mostly repurposed for governmental use or became banks and Masonic lodges. Those that were no longer required or the parasites had a problem explaining their history were either demolished, yeah they were, or left to decay. I use the term parasite to describe the people we often refer to as the elite due to them living solely from the hard work of others, taking their money by way of taxes and usury. We all know who's number one in usury. I'm not even going to say that group of people. Y'all know who it is, right? Those who say they are, but are not. Okay. So it says those others taking their money by way of taxes and never experiencing a hard day's work. These people or beings are the true definition of a parasite. They're bloodsuckers. All right. Literally reptilian bloodsuckers. The Tartarians go back to the very dawn of mankind, the founder of sorts being Magog, the grandson of Noah. Okay. While his brothers Gomer was the first Celt. At this time, Tartaria was known as Scythia and its people as Avars, Mongols, and Turks. Now, I'm not saying this to offend anyone. I'm just simply going to say, when you go down the rabbit hole, you will see that the original people were melanated. So when you're saying Aryans, you're saying Caucasians, you're saying the Turks, you're saying the Celts, you're talking about melanated people. And I know that's going to rub some of you the wrong way and say, oh, that's not right. But truly, when I tell you that they had to rewrite history and they had to write a certain group of people into history, the light-skinned people, my light-skinned brothers and sisters. You know, I don't say white because you're not white. You're not white like this sheet of paper. You're a shade of wheat, just like me. We're just different shades of wheat, right? So I know that might be hard for the majority of you to understand that, but you've got to do your research to see this, okay? All right. Genghis Khan was a Negro. And I don't want to say the word nigga, but with a GGA, he was a nigga. He was. And he had locks. I'm just going to tell you. So when you really go down the rabbit hole and you start seeing this stuff, you're like, what the hell did they do? They rewrote everything. Everything has been rewrote to write themselves in history, to give them a false sense of superiority. I'm just going to tell you. And I mean, and what's crazy to me, and I'm not getting off track, let me say this. What's crazy to me is that there are a lot of my light-skinned brothers and sisters. You know, some people get offended by me saying pale skin. My light-skinned brothers and sisters, quote unquote whites, who truly are, they're black. They're black. They're autochthonous, and they don't even know it because they haven't done their family lineage, or they may have some Cabbage Patch in them and they don't know that one side of their family actually was melanated. And they're walking around with this fake superiority. And I mean, it is what it is, but I'm just saying, I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating that the majority of the world is dumbfounded. They're like, dude, they don't even know this shit. Like, and they don't even care to even go down the rabbit hole to find it. So it's only a certain few that's going to get this information and actually understand it and run with it and actually do research over it. Right. And those are the people that I'm talking to, right, on camera. I'm just saying. So, all right. So then it says these government buildings were repurposed. You know, government buildings, Masonic lodges, churches, courthouses. I'm just going to tell you, universities. They're beautiful buildings, man. I'm telling you. Those that were no longer required, they demolished them and they left them in decay. The people we often refer to as the elite, due to them living solely from hard work of others, taking their money by way of taxes and never experienced a day's work. These people or beings are the true definition of a parasite. The Tartarians go back to the very dawn of mankind. The founder of sorts being Magog, the grandson of Noah, while his brother Gomer was the first Celt. At the time, Tartaria was known as Scythia and its people as Avars, Mongols, and Turks. Its first king was Solomon, and his most celebrated was the Tamerlane, who ruled from 1370 AD until 1405 AD. Its most feared was Genghis Khan, Negro. Although autochthonous, let me just say that, he was melanated, all right? Although what we have been taught about this man is unlikely true and has almost certainly been inverted. This is not unusual. A great deal of what we have been taught about historical events makes little sense, and when we examine it closely, appears to have a complete reversal of what really happened. The world wars are a good example of this, which I expanded upon within my first book, Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids, right here. The reason for it being highly unlikely that Khan was the warmongering, bloodthirsty man we have been led to believe is due to the Tartarians having such a strong belief and focus on spiritual growth. They use frequency and vibration to heal. That's why they had to destroy all the bells, because the bells help you to repair the cells within your body. See, they don't want us to get to a level of enlightenment that the Tartarian Empire was. They worked hard these past 350 years to destroy all of the remnants of these great people. But sad to say, I ain't gonna say sad to say. It's a good thing that they didn't destroy everything. I'm just gonna tell you, they couldn't. They had to repurpose what they had. There would have been a mass undertaking of a lot of Cabbage Patch clones. And yeah, they can take direction. They can procreate and they can learn. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, they had to reuse what was here. So now, the reason for it being highly unlikely that Khan was the warmongering, bloodthirsty man we have had led to believe is due to the Tartarians having such a strong belief and focus on spiritual growth. They use frequency and vibration to heal and balance their chakras built on ley lines and practice feng shui. They study the Book of Changes, which is in the science of refining one's own energy with the aim of living a long and enlightened life. The Book of Changes. You guys got to go check that out. All right. The technology they use for construction is called cymatics, okay? The study of visible sound and vibration. Simply being inside one of their buildings could repair damage to our DNA, and their introduction of the pipe organ actually cured any defects or issues with our internal organs, okay? The Tartarians built cathedrals, a cathedral, okay, across the world as centers of healing, which the Jesuits, a secret and cunning order of the Catholic priests who weave their influence through the corridors of power, their whispered oaths binding them to a shadowy mission of control and conversion. Repurposed into places of worship. These churches that we go to now were never churches in the beginning. They were places of healing, okay? They were used for the betterment of folks, and it wasn't about going into these churches and praying and drinking communion and taking a cracker, blood of my blood, this is the body and blood of Christ. It was never like that. Everything is inverted, you guys. It is. They use this. And you see how they flipped everything, right? So, repurposed into places of worship, even the bells emitted a frequency that proven to heal. American inventor Royal Raymond Rife spent years researching this and built a machine that could kill cancer cells simply by setting it into a specific frequency. However, the bells were changed in 1953 when the Rockefeller Institute established a worldwide agreement to no longer vibrate at 432 hertz, but 440 instead. And it's very, very damaging to the body. All right. When you listen to music, I've said this before in other videos. When you listen to music, you need to run it through a tuner at 432 hertz. Right now, when you listen to music, it's not tuned to 432. Very few artists do that, if not just a handful. And I'm saying like literally a handful. So it's been tuned to 442 hertz instead. The reason for this is simple. With the petroleum-driven pharmaceutical industry underway, there were little money to be made from people that were healthy. And as 432 hertz is a natural frequency that the world resonates at, the parasites didn't want us balanced and well. Moreover, 440 hertz can cause a feeling of despair, which has suited their needs perfectly. Rockefeller even managed to get the music we listen to change to this frequency. There were also mass of harnessing energy from the ether, which they did by using the Atlantean, Egyptian, Anunnaki technology. He named them all right there. Each major building has something similar to its own Tesla coil built within the structure of the roof. They can be quite easily detected by the metalwork on the rooftops and the spires, which acted as an antenna. However, they were later either completely removed or changed to a Christian cross or weather vanes. How many of you guys know that steeple at the top of the church represents a man's phallus? Did you guys know that? Just asking. Look. Okay. That's what they look like. And I told you in a video previously, reading from Guy's stuff here, 2012, Turkmenistan was using 0 point energy. They were using free energy up until 2012. All right. Just going to tell you. And they removed ether out of the books. So we had no idea, us growing up now, we didn't know that, right? Now, all this information is coming out and you got to wonder why it's being released at this point. Because they're their tactics are no longer working. Like, a lot of people are starting to really wake up and question things. And I truly know, based on the information I've read and I've assimilated, they have no problem hitting the switch and flipping it where another reset takes place and more people unalived. I'm just going to tell you. The ether permeates the world as a whole, and it is an untapped source of energy, ultimately electricity. This can be tapped into by anything that is attuned with it. Nikola Tesla understood this because he had access to what was already here. Okay. He got the blueprints, and he knew not only him, but Coral Castle, that guy, what's his name? I forgot that guy's name. He was like a really short dude. I'm like 5'5". This guy was like 5'2", 5'3", and he built this huge ass castle for this girl that he liked, this woman that he liked and wanted to marry, but she declined to marry him and declined to move in with him. So he built this castle, and he did it over a series of a couple of nights. It's because he learned how to use certain frequencies to lift or levitate rocks and giant stones and put them into place. It's ancient technology. All right. So it says his downfall. Okay. Nikola Tesla, his downfall was to be the greed of the parasites to benefit from the supply of fossil fuels. And this was also the downfall of the Tartarian Empire. The universe has an untapped source of energy. I'm going to say it one more time. The universe has an untapped source of energy, which Tesla called radiant or free energy. And the bottom line is that there is just no profit in it for you and I as an endless supply of free, clean, and safe power. Just like they're pushing these EV cars. Shout out to Original Long Whoop with their video about the cars and how they're being manufactured today. They're pieces of crap. They're built to last for a certain period of time, and they're built to last so that they're built for a certain period of time so that when they crash out, and you have to go get it fixed. Either you don't have the money to get it fixed, or you have to go and get another car. It's all by design. Like, they've planned every single sector out for us. Everything has been pre-planned ahead of time. You guys think you're free and you have choices. You are not free. I'm going to say it one more time for you. You are not free. I am not free. You're not free, because we haven't allowed ourselves to move as a collective, as one, and break free from the bull. Now, I could hear one of my sons going, well, Mom, the system is not all that bad. Some people can't be trusted to be business owners, let alone have choices. Yeah, I see why the parasites are doing what they're doing. Well, I do too. But I'm going to tell you, there are some of us that do not need to have someone over us watching everything that we do and controlling every move that we make. I am a sentient being, and I do not choose to go along with any of this bullshit. Let it be known. Make a meme out of that. Just gonna tell you. So, there's no money in it. That's why it's not gonna be released. And I read to you in this book, like 7 inventors? Each one of them got unalived mysteriously with the inventions that they created. Like the autochthonous gentleman that has the machine that pulls the water out of the air. Okay. Now he's got some scrupulous characters backing him in the production. But my thing is, when you do that, people always want to invent something and they think they're going to get rich. No, invent something for the betterment of people and stop worrying about your pockets. You know, if you are truly meant to have that type of wealth, you will have it. And I say that we're all wealthy. We just may not be wealthy in fake ass fiat, right? But your health is your wealth, your mental capacity. The fact that you're a divine sentient being, that's enough right there in itself. You just don't know who you are because you need to wake from the slumber. So it says, along with the end of the Tartarian Empire went free energy, centers of healing and constructing in harmony and balance with nature and the earth too. However, even more disturbingly, the millions of people that had lived and prospered in the beautiful civilizations would also have to go. Of course, those with enough money, influence, and power will be saved by the parasites, provided that they adhered to and adopted the NWO, the New World Order. Do I have a dollar bill? I don't think I have a dollar bill. Hold on. Hold, please. Just hold that thought. Hold that thought. Damn it. What'd I do with it? Damn it. I lost $10. What the hell I do with it? I don't know what I did with it. Shit. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm back. I don't know what I did with my money. So that's why I'm carrying cash. I was going to show you a dollar bill. That's what I went to go get. I don't know what I did with that. I put it on top of the dresser. It's gone. So anyway, on the back of the dollar bill, it says Nova Seclorum, which is New World Order. That's what I wanted to show you. So anyway, it says, but what about the millions that wouldn't comply or had little to offer? The year 1776 is a pivotal time in our history. Not only was it to the start of the New World Order, as depicted on every reverse of the American dollar bill and the Declaration of Independence from Great Britain, okay? But it was also the year that Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati in Ingolstadt, Bolivia. However, what you won't find online is that it was also the year that the Tartarian Empire finally fell. Okay? At the time, the population growth was slow on a global level, with an estimated 1 billion people living on our planet, compared to 8 billion only 200 years later. I will expand. Okay, let me read that one more time. A global level with an estimated 1 billion people living on our planet compared to 8 billion only 200 years later. I will expand upon this later in the book. However, it still represented a mammoth task if the parasites were going to quite simply put it, get rid of them, and so began a series of planned events. Some would appear as natural disasters, others as civil uprisings, and some a blatant genocide. Okay. You know that every major city here in the United States had fires. We discussed that. If you look at Jamil Shamshi Dean's book, Don't Call My Dummy No Dummy, and I told you Don't Call My Dummy No Dummy, you can see how many riots there were here in the Americas, aka Negro land, okay, when the Europeans came over and started battling my ancestors, our ancestors. Okay. It was always about the land and control and setting up shop here and rewriting the narrative worldwide, right? Everything that they're doing over there to Palestine, and they created this state, okay, in 47, that they called, you know what, the I word. They actually were going to do it here. They looked at several different countries and they decided to go there based on the Balfour Declaration that ensued, right? That created this whole dynamic. And ever since then, they've set up shop all around the world systematically, okay? Like clockwork. They had help. Like I said, they had help. They had non-human entities guiding the helm with the elites, right? So at the time, population was slow on a global level with an estimated 1 billion, right? And then just 200 years later, they went to 8 billion. Some would appear as natural disasters, civil uprisings, and some blatant genocides. Here are just a few of the conflicts, if you call them that, from 1776 onwards, with the number of deaths, okay? And like I said, he's got wars, he's got genocide. Let's just read them off. War, 1792, French Revolutionary Napoleon War, 7 million, 1810, Mexican War of Independence, 600,000, 1830, French conquest of Algeria, 1.48 million, 1853, the Crimean War, 670,000, 1856, Penthe Rebellion, 1 million, 1857, Indian Rebellions of 1857 as 2 million, 1861, the American Civil War is 1 million. The American Civil War was fictitious because, again, the people here were indoctrinated. They don't know the truth of history. You have some people that are still alive that can tell you what ensued. And you have people who are alive that their family members passed down the information and knowledge to them so that they would not be ignorant to what really transpired. So there's a mainstream narrative and there's the actual truth. Okay. Again, Jamil Shamshi Dean's book, I Told You Don't Call My Dummy, explicitly lists all the race wars and riots here in the U.S. And that's from the time that they stepped foot over here on this continent to set up shop, the 7 different countries that bum rushed the U.S. 1861, the American Civil War, 1 million. 1870, Franco-Persian War, 1.15 million. 1878, conquest of Milik, 6 million. 1912, the Balkan Wars, 177 million. 1914, World War I, 22 million. 1917, Russian Civil War, 10 million. 1927, Chinese Civil War, 9 million. I believe that each one of these wars were to wipe out the Tartarians, the peoples of the old world, the original people. Just these conflicts alone result in the deaths of over 63 million people, which is close to the entire population of the United Kingdom today. Genocide. That was the war I read. Here's the genocide. 1788, Aboriginal genocide, Australia, 100,000. 1810, Zulu, Makif, Africa, 200,000 or 2 million. 1820, Black War, Tasmania, 1,000. 1830, Trails of Tears, America, 4,000. 1846, California genocide, America, 100,000. 1863, the Circassian genocide, Russia, 1.5 million. 1885, Congo Free State atrocities, Africa, 15 million. 1900, Guatemala indigenous massacres, 100,000. 1904, the Hero and the Napaquada genocide, Namibia. 1914, the Pontiac Greek genocide, Ottoman Empire. 1914, Assyrian genocide, Ottoman Empire, 750,000. And the one before that was 350,000. The Armenian genocide, 1 million, 1.5 million. 1920, Italian massacre, Libya, 100,000. 1930, Soviet forced famines, Russia, 10 million. 1932, Ukrainian Holodomor, Soviet Union, 13 million. 1937, the Nanking Massacre, China, 300,000. 1941, the Holocaust, Europe, 11 million. 1941, the Capamas, Europe, 500,000. I don't know if I said that right. 1949, Mao Tse-tung Cultural Revolution, China, 27 million. As with the wars, the genocide, in my opinion, appears to be just another way to wipe out people that belong to the previous civilization. A reset of the entire human race has been taking place since the destruction of the Tartarian Empire in 1776. They have been guiding us and genetically modifying us. Why do you think they have people that say that they've been, that they have these entities that come in the room at night and take them away in ships? They leave tracking devices in them. They follow certain lineages and family members throughout the time frame. Your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your grandmother, and your mother, and now you have all been tagged because you're the new humanity, and they're watching certain people. Just telling you. As with the wars, genocide, in my opinion, appears to be just another way to wipe out not only the people that belong to the previous civilization. A reset of the entire human race has been taking place since the destruction of the Tartarian Empire in 1776. Too many people, not enough resources, and the need by the parasites to have all 4 corners of the old world inhabited by only those that either didn't know anything of its past or were created with an entirely new historical narrative. And that's what we got running around, ignorant mofos that think they know shit because they went to a university and they paid thousands of dollars and they tested out and they learned these indoctrinated curriculum. They think that they know everything, and they really and truly don't. They're far removed from the truth. The acts of genocide I have listed are just the larger events. There were a great deal more, and of course it continues to this day, as in Palestine and in other places. Ultimately, almost 86 million people died and were subjected to forced famine, drought, torture, rape, and murder. The parasites not only just sat back and watched, but orchestrated it. There has also been natural disasters too, and having spent the last few decades researching conspiracy theories, I suspect that these were not natural at all, and in fact created specifically to reduce the population in specific areas and also destroy cities and any buildings that held too many traces of the old world. Look what they did in South Carolina not too long ago. Look what happened to Camp Mystic. I'm just telling you, I've read to you guys on video for an hour and a half the patents that they have. I pulled up on my laptop and showed you. You just got to go back and scroll through my page. You'll see it. Okay. I'm just telling you, go over YouTube and you'll see it. It just boggles my mind that people still think that this is a natural occurrence, that God is actually guiding the weather. No. What God are you talking about? Who are you speaking of? Because it's not the internal divine sentient spark that resides within you. That's not who's doing this. Okay. You guys got to quit pointing your finger and thinking it's the devil and it's God. No, take responsibility and accountability for the bullshit. But I'm simply saying, you got to see it for what it is. All right. It's no stretch. You just got to sit down and put the puzzle pieces together, which is what he's doing. So the disasters are not natural. They're man-made. They are caused. They have the patents, and HARP and the Department of Interior, the Department of Energy, DARPA, all them mofos are in on this shit, because they're all ran by the controlling families that I read to you in this book. And I've got screenshots of the names that they've changed over the years, right? Because you think that they're one name and it's actually something completely separate. Okay. So then it says, in 1783, an event known as Lake Hazy caused the deaths of 18,000 people in Britain due to an eruption in Iceland, caused the sulfuric gas to be emitted. And in 1816, the year without a summer, caused by the eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia, also resulting in thousands of deaths. From 1829 to 1851, Britain had a cholera outbreak, which started in London and then spread across the island. It resulted in the death of 55,000 people. Again, I believe that this was no accident nor a natural event, but was strategically planned to reduce the population even further, with particular emphasis on London. What would just happen 5 years ago with the coronavirus? How many people supposedly died from that? And they got something else that's out that's new, that they're saying that's going to be a big thing this winter. I'm not giving that any energy. I'm just telling you, either you see it or you don't. The worldwide influenza outbreak in 1918, known as the Spanish flu, killed an estimated 50 million people. 1/5 of the world's population was attacked by this deadly virus, and within months, it had killed more people than any other illness in recorded history. It emerged in two places. In late spring in 1918, the first phase started, known as the 3-day fever. It appeared without warning. Few deaths were reported and victims recovered after just a few days. However, when the disease surfaced again, it was far more severe. Scientists, doctors, and health officials could not identify this disease, which was striking so fast and so viciously, eluding treatment, thus defying control. Some victims died within hours of their first symptoms, while others succumbed after a few days, their lungs having filled with fluid and ultimately suffocating them to death. The plague was rampant in both urban and rural areas, with young adults usually unaffected by this type of disease among the hardest groups, but followed by the elderly and the infants. In America, this outbreak afflicted over 25% of the population in just 1 year. Average life expectancy dropped by 12 years. Many readers will see similarities between the Spanish flu and the COVID-19, and for very good reason. Today, we still do not know the truth about what caused both outbreaks. Do I need to go pull up the paperwork on my old laptop in there that I downloaded about the research that good doctor was doing under the guise when Obama was in office? Like I told you, they meet once a year to discuss these damn diseases and these damn epidemics that they want to choose to study and modify. Today, we still do not know the truth about what caused the outbreaks, but one thing is for certain: the latter wasn't caused by someone eating a bat. Okay, with close to 200 million people gone, and just in the events I have highlighted, and much of the Tartarian Empire either removed or destroyed, it was time to repopulate the world. And so begins the story of the Cabbage Patch Babies. And that's on chapter 3. We're going to get into that. The Cabbage Patch Kids. Now, at some point, I need to get on my laptop, fire it up, do some research on a couple of these cloning companies, and I'm going to go to their website and I'm going to do a video, probably over here on Facebook, and pull up some things, and we're going to read through some things, and we're going to see the verbiage of what they say. Because I'm telling you, these entertainers have all they've all said too much on screen, and we've caught them where they said that they've been clones. Kevin Hart's one of them. Your boy Jamie Foxx is another. People speculate Kanye. I don't know. Kanye, and then what's that other rapper dude? He's got tattoos on him, got pink hair. I forgot the guy's name. But I mean, it's a real thing. It is possible to do. As I've told you before, they've been genetically creating entities, people, things for millennia. These races that we read about, they had the technology to do it. And regardless of what they tell you on a government website, that it's against the law, this, that, and the other, they've been doing it. They've been doing that mess for years. They've been doing it underground. They've been doing it on surface in suburban and downtown city areas and buildings that people have no idea what they're doing. I'm just going to tell you. So, when you look at that, you go, wow. They have the technology to do it, and they've been doing it for a long time. They've gotten that technology from those that come from beyond the ice walls and those that live underground. Now, you know that there are cities underground. Every freaking world government around the world has underground cities and underground bases. The difference with the so-called quote unquote Americas of the United States is that they have underground bases specifically for the elite and people in government. All right. In government, to the continuity of government. It's not for the citizens here in quote unquote the Americas, the United States corporation. Russia has underground compounds for its citizens. I'm gonna put it that way for this video. The United States doesn't. So they pretty much telling us to kick rocks. I'm just telling you. So when you've got these corrupt entities that are running things behind the scenes, you really got to understand what you're looking at and what you're dealing with, right? So it's not a far stretch. You just have to put the puzzle pieces together. I was reading from The Rise of the Clones, all right? The Cabbage Patch Babies. I was reading chapter 2. Okay. When I come back, we're going to get into chapter 3, the Cabbage Patch Babies. Chapter 2, I just covered, was after Tartaria. Okay. So he listed out the wars and the genocide. I pointed you to Jamil Shamshi-Dean's book, especially here in the Americas. You could take a look at it. I told you, don't call my dummy no dummy, and don't call my dummy no dummy. There's 2 of them. All right. I told you, don't call my dummy no dummy outlines all of the wars, and he's got pages and pages of here in the quote unquote Americas. All right. So you all need to know that information. All right. You really do need to order his books. And I would highly recommend you get this book as well as this book and start having intelligent discussions and conversations. Right. When I come back, we'll read over chapter 3, and then we're also going to read some more of Stuart Swerdlow's book. And then finally, I am going to get back into Flying Serpents and Dragons and Murder of Reality by Pierre Sabak. Flying Serpents and Dragons is by R.A. Boulay. So we're going to finish that up. And then also, I think I have a part 2 or 3 that I'm going to need to finish up with the Smoky God, because we finished all of Claudio Nicelli's work for right now. And so I want to cross correlate that with the Smoky God, because remember that gentleman, the admiral, and his son went to the underground cities. And so they are with giants. And so they met with the ruler, or I don't want to say president, but the high king there. And he asked them, do you want to stay here, or do you want to go back to your civilization? Once you leave here, you cannot come back. Okay. So they opted to say, we want to travel. We want to see all that there is to see. But yes, we do want to go back, but we would still like to partake in the kingdom and look at the different areas and meet different people. So they gave them that option. So we need to finish that book and see how things turn out, right? So anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for joining me. My lunch break is over. And you remember what I always say, be the change you want to see all around this earth dome, because it's up to you and I to make a positive change. I'll talk to you guys soon.